Hello and good evening and welcome to The Truth Behind the Truth. Good evening, everybody. I want to welcome you to our great and wonderful show.
Yeah.
Happy New Year to you all that are just finally joining us for the first time this year.
Yeah.
We want to welcome you and tell you to have a happy New Year. Thank you for taking your time out on this wonderful Saturday evening to be a part of this wonderful show. I want to welcome our YouTube family, our Facebook family, and also our Instagram family as well. We are excited coming to you from the West Coast, East Coast, and Central Time.
Yes.
Definitely.
And those who follow us from the UK and some parts of, you said there were some parts of Africa, correct?
Not yet, not quite that far.
Yeah, we're getting there.
We're getting there.
We're getting there.
We're not quite that far yet, but
not yet.
But guys, we want to thank you for tuning in tonight. We really appreciate you taking your time out to be a part of this wonderful gathering of conversation that we're having to help you as humanity find its authenticity and knowing that you are enough in the process of that. Yeah. All right. Let me go for. Make sure you go to Truth Behind Truth page. Get your T-shirt. Ooh. Those T-shirts are still available for you guys. Go to the Truth Behind Truth page. Scroll down, and you'll be able to get your T-shirt from the Truth Behind Truth page. All right. Yes. Want to remind you guys of that. And if you want to do ad and sponsorship with us, you see the scrolling on the bottom of the screen. Contact us. Call one of the phone numbers on the page. You scroll there, and we'll be happy to have you a part of your advertising, a part of the show as well. Want to thank you for that, and also to remind you, like, share, like, okay,
and subscribe.
Yeah. Our YouTube family, put the word out there. This show is growing, and we want you to grow with us. Yes, definitely so. Yes. All right, without further ado. All right, but tonight's show, oh my gosh, this is going to be an awesome show. Tonight we're kicking off a short series called Men Have Voices Too. This is going to be a really powerful show for men and women. Women, get your husbands in the room. Women, men, get your boys in the room. Everybody, hey, share the show. Yeah. This is going to be a really great night. We are really digging into why the male voice is not necessarily being heard in society today. It's going to be a really great show. We have my wonderful friend and brother Keith Burke back from Have and Have Nots, and our new guest to the show, Dr. Tyler Tate, will be with us as well tonight. And of course, our wonderful brother, as you know, our co-host of the show, Harold LaFall. Well, let's bring in Harold. Hey, Harold.
What's up? Hey, everybody. What's up?
How you doing?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Fabulous. Good. Yeah. Fabulous. Good to see you as always.
Hey, don't you guys feel like we can breathe a sigh of relief?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
We got grown folks, running the country again.
Yes, the children that left the White House.
No more narcissism in the White House. No more of that.
No offense to Kid and Play, but Kid and Play have left the White House.
Right.
Just saw the way they walked on off.
Yeah. My gosh.
One of them walked.
Yeah,
we're gonna further discuss that. We're gonna add in some more guests.
Yeah. Yes, it will. Just 1 second. Okay. But before we get into that, so Harold, you doing okay?
I'm doing good.
We missed you last week, brother. You're part of this show, man.
Yeah. I know. I took rest and relaxation. I wanted to get away,
right?
Yeah, get away and go to the mountains and just.
That's all right. You were greatly missed. I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy to be back.
Yes, definitely. So,
how cold was it up there on that mountain?
It was in the 20s. Like
oh, really? Wow. My kind of weather.
Yeah.
I love it. Did you get any snow?
Yeah. There was snow the first 2 nights. Yeah.
One of my dream trips is to around the holidays, and hopefully we'll be able to do it at some point. Yeah. Is to do a Vermont Christmas, or just spend some time in Vermont where the snow is all over the trees, and do a sleigh ride. Yeah. A reindeer sleigh ride through. That's like one of my fantasy things I've always wanted to do.
Snow is synonymous with Christmas. When I
it really is.
When I see snow, I just think of Christmas.
Exactly, I do too. Many people say that's a myth, and I get it. That's it. I'm talking about Jesus wasn't born in the snow. I understand that, but some things become a part of our tradition. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that people say snow is also a cleansing.
Yeah, it is.
Of the earth.
You know,
it's absolute cleansing. People say that, you know, when it snows, the earth is cleansing itself as well.
Right.
Along with that. So I thought, you know, to be honest with you, we would say Christmas is with snow, but as I grow older and more wiser to, you know, other situations, you start to realize that no, sometimes snow in itself is a cleansing for all of us as humans and on the world too as well. So to be honest with you, I just like the look of snow. But I don't never think about it nowadays as a Christmas type of feel.
Well, you know, after a great show, after a great snow, you know, it's so quiet, it's so calm, it's so peaceful. It's amazing how that happens after a great snow. It is very therapeutic, you know. And I love the snow. I wish the Hall of America could experience snow as a regular. You know what I mean? It's such a beautiful point. Yeah. But anyway, without further ado, because we're not going to keep our guests in the wings tonight, because these gentlemen have taken the time out of their schedule to be so much of a part of us, and they really want to dig in and have some time to talk about this little mini series that we started tonight. Mm-hmm. All right, guys, we want to welcome back to the show, and first time to the show. Want to welcome back to the show. Hey, I call him Dr. Keith Burke, but Actor Keith Burke, as most of you know him from the Have and the Have-Nots. Mm-hmm. Want to welcome him back to the show, and our new guest, Mr. Tyler Tate, to the show as well.
Hey, guys! Thank you.
Woo.
Yes. Welcome, you guys. Welcome. Keith.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Okay, well, glad to have you here, Tyler. Keith, good to see you, brother. Yeah. Looking good as usual.
No, thank you, brother. I feel like I'm sleepwalking, but I'm good. You know, I'm happy to be back.
Yes. Well, all of us being a part of the West Coast, you know how it's in. We got some good old rain coming down today. You know.
Yeah, it's been. I mean, I definitely don't have a problem with it. It's one of them nights to just. But I'm studying anyway. I got auditions to shoot, so I'm just taking a break right now. You know what I mean? This is. Yeah, I mean, I'm grateful. I'm just saying that this is one of those times when you could just shut down and just get some work done.
Yes,
it's quiet, it's peaceful. So I'm really appreciating this rain.
Yes,
I'm gonna do most of the work tonight because tomorrow, football. So I'm.
Got you.
Today's a work day.
Got you. I'm so glad to hear that, brother. Tyler, tell us, how you doing, brother? Welcome to the show.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm excited about the discussion. Yes. I'm doing well. I'm actually, we've been talking about Atlanta and being in Atlanta. I was in Atlanta last month. I'm back in Kentucky now.
Oh, really?
And
okay. Great. Uh-huh.
Yes. I'm in my final semester of grad school. And as far as the weather, I could do without it. It snows pretty much once a week here. So that's a culture shock, but I'm used to it now. Okay. And I only have, a little bit more time left here, but I'm doing fine.
Good. Wonderful. Are you where are you from, Tyler? Where are you originally from?
I'm from Georgia. I'm from Sharpsburg, Georgia. That's about 30 minutes south
small town
of Atlanta. Yeah.
Small town. Yeah. Wonder what you got to get a magnifying glass to find, right?
You do. I mean, nobody knows about it. I mean, right. I'm shocked that you know about it. It's
right. I've heard of it. Yeah. It's been such quite a lengthy time in of course most of my adult life in Atlanta. So yeah, who hasn't heard about the pimple cities
right.
that are there? In and of. So that's great.
But you know what? Me and Tyler, we're good friends from Alabama State University, from an HBCU, and we met each other in the acting department that was under the headship of Dr. Tommy Stewart.
Yes.
So that's how we met.
Yep.
Originally. So and ASU in the house.
It feels like so long ago. And it wasn't that long ago, was it?
No, not at all. No, probably for me. I graduated a little early.
Look like we lost Harold, but that's
we lost Harold.
We'll be back in a second. Yeah. But go ahead, keep talking.
Well, I graduated a little earlier than Tyler. You graduated a little later than me.
Okay.
But yes. Those days those were some days.
There wasn't that, and it feels almost surreal now, like coming out of the undergraduate environment and then doing professional work, and then now that I'm getting my master's, and then now being, especially in a PWI now, the culture is just so different.
Yes.
And it it's just weird when I go back to those memories and just think about how different it is. It's interesting.
Wonderful. Glad to hear that. Yeah. So, in terms of the acting world, where are you with your acting? Are you auditioning at this point, or are you just kind of waiting till you complete your studies?
Well, I've had a really good experience in the city of Louisville with my acting career because I'm more so into theater, and just by virtue of this city being very theater driven, I've had some good work back to back. I really haven't. I've been working since I got to this city. Back to back. I've had to turn things down, which is a privilege and a blessing, because usually for theater it's kind of the opposite. Like you don't have consistent work. And even during COVID, the Shakespeare Theater here has done a really good job with keeping actors working by doing virtual theater.
Yes,
and that's been a blessing because I didn't expect that, so that was a pleasant surprise that they did that. But right now, I've done a lot of work with Kentucky Shakespeare. I'll likely do. I'm currently casting their summer season, which will also be a virtual show, unless they wind up opening theaters up for the most part across the country, which is probably unlikely. Gotcha. But that's where I am after I graduate. I'll probably be looking for some representation either in New York or Atlanta. Likely more so New York because I'm into musical theater. And that's what's.
You need a place. If you need a place out here in Hollywood, we're downtown.
We're downtown.
So there's a room for you. If you need to come out here and do any type of pilot season, we're out here. So you got
appreciate that.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And on top of that, you know what? To add on to what you were saying about the Shakespeare festivals, we had one in Alabama, but most, and you're blessed, most talents that come to those Shakespeare festivals, they come from up north. Oh wow! They don't pick people out in those surrounding areas. They come from the north. Because I remember there was a time when I auditioned for some shows out there in Alabama Shakespeare Festival. Most of the actors were New York actors.
All of them. I did one show with them. I was of a cast of maybe 38 people, 40 people, because it had kids in it.
Yeah.
There were only 2 actors in that show that were not from New York.
Wow.
Of 40.
Wow.
That's what I said. I was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
So what did y'all think about the inauguration though? I mean, did y'all see the inauguration? Now that in itself, besides the insurrection.
Yeah.
Besides the insurrection, if y'all, which one you want to talk on? The insurrection or the inauguration? But those were some theater pieces, right?
But it really was. It was very diagnostic, if anything. You know, it's moments like that kind of show you where you are. It's always interesting how it takes trauma and drama to get people to say, oh, so that's how we coming. That's what we got. But it's just interesting, especially with Black people in the state of Black people in this country, particularly. It's like people are like, wow, so this is what's happening. And then we're just like, no, this is what's been happening. Like, you know, those protests that took place this summer, you know, all those different initiatives that we've been starting that you tried to invalidate. This kind of ties into that. So it kind of opens up, especially, you know, the politicians who just now want to flip their position and be on the right side of history. It's like, you know, you don't get to switch up at the last minute. You know,
no, you don't.
The time would have been like years ago when it mattered.
Absolutely. Keith, what is your take on that?
Honestly, I'm of the mindset that the game is rigged in general. And I feel like every president serves a purpose, you know, like if we were to sit down and we would formulate a plan, every 4 years there's a switch. So you put yourself on a 4-year timeline, and depending on how well it's going, that president gets a second term, not because we vote him back in, but because he's continuing to further the agenda, whatever that agenda may be. And it's not lost on me that we're in that COVID came during Trump's presidency, simply because it would be more acceptable, and it was something that could be. If you were going to listen, when you detonate a bomb, the goal is to do as much damage as possible. You couldn't have done that under Obama's watch. You have to do something like that when there's somebody that will accept it from. So that was his purpose, was, you know, to initiate and change the Supreme Court, to initiate in this, you know, this COVID thing that we're going through, that I feel is so much deeper than what we're giving credit for. But I understand that you're kept in the dark in such a way where it's not just education, but it's enlightenment. You know, that's the thing. You know, if I'm feeding you information that I created versus allowing you to get the information organically and believe and trust in that way, then you go far beyond what my limits and the limits that I set on you. And so that's like, I start to look at the whole setup, and it's just like, you know, it sucks, but it is, after a while, you start to really understand that your job is to do your part. And your part is like, say, okay, I will march, or I will vote this way. I will make sure I do certain things. That's fine. I'm not knocking any of that. But I mean, it's taken too damn long. So that tells me that the game is rigged. If it was real, it wouldn't take this long. It's just, it wouldn't, you know, and it doesn't mean you should stop it, but it's just a reality that maybe the methods in which you're using aren't successful when you have to try, you know, the methods, possibly. But I feel like it's so much deeply rooted in things where, if you look at like what was decimated during this pandemic, small businesses, because you get rid of the competition and you consolidate. That's why everybody gets everything delivered by Amazon. You know, it's like, you know, then you look at Facebook and it's, it was, you know, they were hacked. They weren't hacked for shit. You know, Mark Zuckerberg from the gate has been dirty. We know this. You can't get to where he is being clean, not in this regime. You know what I mean? So it's like, it was like they sat around and everybody has a purpose and a plan, and they're part of a bigger thing. Like when, you know, Bush said one world order, it was like people weren't really paying attention. You know, this man was the head of the CIA. Now he's a 2-term president. Like, wake the F up. You know what I'm saying? Like, pay attention. You know, the who's in office and what purpose they're serving. And so, you know, like a lot of times when they don't want to calm things down, they're going to give us something. That's why we got, and it's no disrespect, but at the same time, you know, the climate was perfect for them to go, we'll do this, but what will the Band-Aid be on some level? It'll be Kamala Harris. Just like it was, just like after George W. Bush, it was Barack Obama. And that's not taking anything away from these amazing human beings and what they've been able to achieve. This has nothing to do with it. I'm talking about serving a purpose. When you're hired to do a film, you serve a purpose. It's not always about the best actor that's going to get the job. It's about the person that has 2.5 million followers. Like, sometimes it's just about numbers. It's not even personal. So, you know, if you can allow your mind to think that way, then you're not so emotionally, you know, enslaved to this bullshit capitalistic process that they got you believing you're actually a part of. That's just my take, though.
No, man, look, hey, you know what? That little segment was so, that's what I love about you, Keith. You know, I'm telling you, man, because that is such rich nuggets that you have just dropped. I mean, you just went, booyah, drop the mic. That's all I got to say and walk away.
Oh, no, man. That's just, I didn't want to be like, we was trying to stay on topic of the inauguration, but it just, you know, when I was watching it in the ceremony, because I was at Barack Obama's first inauguration, I braved the cold, and I was proud to be a part of that history. But at the end of the day, it's like you realize it's this, so many things are ceremonial, and we get hung up on the ceremony. And it's just like, man, like if anything has taught us that, you realize that with these empty stadiums, nobody's tripping on the national anthem, are we?
Right. Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Nobody's tripping about any of that. It's not even coming up. Are they going to do it? Are they going to do this? Are they going? Nobody's even talking about it. And so because nobody's talking about it, it's a non-issue. So I'm saying it's like, anytime they want to incite something, they decide that this we're not going to disrespect our troops. You disrespect your troops. Look, how many homeless veterans do we have?
Ooh, bro. I'm telling you. Go ahead. Keep talking.
Fix that, and then start telling me about kneeling. Fix that.
Yes.
I mean, if you served, why are you starving?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Oh, well, you know, we'll send you to college. Okay, but you're going to create a situation where I'm not going to be able to survive while going to college.
Wow. Bro. Man. Woo, this is good.
What's going to end up happening is I'm going to end up re-enlisting, right?
Yes.
So it's almost like you own me, because once you're in the military, you military property, right?
That's true. That's so
You
true.
you are not. It's not about you being a U.S. citizen. You are military property.
That's right. That's right.
I know that.
So I mean,
Man.
it's just these things that we look at and how we're conditioned to look at
Yes.
life and say this is where this ceiling is and this is where this ceiling is, and we rarely look inward. We trust everybody else's opinion of everything that we do, everything that we eat, everything that we think, everything that we feel. We rarely look inward, and so when when that part of yourself is so underdeveloped, you're helpless. You're like a puppet waiting for somebody to pull a particular string so you know which direction to move. I just,
Man.
you know what I mean? Like that's
Yes,
things that
sir.
this is all brought to the surface for me.
Yes. No. I mean, that is
But
so.
you know what?
Go
We
ahead.
talked about this in the last show. You know, I always say critical thinking in this country is off. It's so off. You know, in certain states, critical thinking classes are outlawed because of religious affiliations with the state and with the school. You know, most southern states who believe the Bible Belt, they don't like critical thinking classes because they think it will go against of their Christian beliefs or whatever belief that you want to believe in. And I think in our society, we don't like the critical think. I mean, because when you said that, I thought about what the nuggets that you were giving me, and I said, you know what? I've heard this before. Not to say I didn't take it, take it and receive it. It's just I've heard it, but it's just the fact that everybody else around me don't hear it. Mm-hmm. They don't want to hear it. They want to hear something that's mediocre, something that is just really just crazy, mm-hmm. and that gets their attention. Without this, that is so important, that needs to be paid attention to. And I think as a society, you know what? And I'm hoping and praying. I'm hoping and praying that liberal arts, we talked about this, mm-hmm. liberal arts and critical thinking skills mm-hmm. would be back in our education systems. I don't care what education, because kids need to understand, people need to understand that you have to start thinking for yourself. When you start thinking for yourself, you will be more engaged right. and more mm-hmm. intelligent enough to see the forest for the trees. Right. I'm just saying. Right. But that in itself, I think that needs to happen for America, because what could have happened, Trump could have been, and I keep saying it, our first dictator. We would have been an autocracy instead of a democracy. Right. What comes with an autocracy, you have people who storm the Capitol mm-hmm. because somebody told them to do it without mm-hmm. even thinking, why am I doing this? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But that's America as a whole right now. Wow.
Well, America has been dumbed down. And this is across the board, white, black, you know, yes. people that come to America, like if you look at the nations that people migrate here after they either to go to college, to get their master's, things like that, those people they have a plan. Yeah. But like if you grow up here, a lot of times the dumbing down, if you look at just how information is, you would think like with the information at your fingertips, like we're not waiting on newspapers anymore. It's not about I'm standing at the newsstand looking at different things. Now it's at my fingers. Yet and still, people, we are the most uninformed because corporations run the media, and because they control the amount of information and the perspective of that information, you're really getting maybe 2 or 3 opinions, and that's it. And if and they're going to mostly agree, but there may be some differences, and then they'll highlight those differences through, well, they're more of a conservative and this person is more of a liberal. They give these labels, and so then you write it off based on your particular gang or clique that you believe in. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so that's what we were talking about this, because it's like we're so separated. I mean, on so many ways. It's not just race, it's religion. It's not just religion. It's just it's like we were talking about. I know you use the term toxic masculinity. Like we separate ourselves. We keep fine tuning the separation with social media. Like how to react, how to feel. How can I display that feeling? Am I going to heart it or am I going to like it? Am I going to not like it? When somebody died, do I like it because I appreciate the post, or do I cry because I feel their sorrow? Wow. These people are monitoring you like you taking a test. Yeah. They figure you out and you mad. Just know you gave them the answers for free.
Yes. Yes.
I'm saying it's just things to think about. Friends. How you go? They're not your friends. They're your followers. What does that mean?
So true.
Bro, it's too nuts to me. Like I got 1 million followers. That's cool. Like if you're following my platform and I'm taking that platform in a place that gives you some sort of entertainment, or health and different things. I totally respect that. But I just mean in general, like popularity. So this chick has a banging body and she gets like 24,000 likes. That's cool. But after a while, her self-esteem gets tied into that. I promise you.
Absolutely.
And then you start to put your value in how many people like a particular angle. How many, or they love it when I use this filter. Like you can't look in the mirror authentically as who you are and have that same emotion. That's when you know they got you. That's when you know they got you.
Wow, but man, you preaching.
Harold, chime on in.
Come on, Harold.
Come on.
I'm just
No, but you know what everyone is really talking about programming and how we are programmed. I think about like even in school and our colleges, I was never told and taught about entrepreneurship. I was trained to be an employee. You were trained to be an employee. And so that's something that we're programmed to do. We're programmed to accept the status quo, to do what we're told. And if you notice, some of the most successful entrepreneurs don't even have college degrees because they didn't fall in line with that program.
the key word. And they start sooner. That's another thing.
Right.
They didn't have to wait to give themselves permission to be great. They just had to keep learning from their failures, seeking out knowledge specifically that they needed based on whatever project or idea that they had at the given moment. That's the way that's a way of being, but you're not taught. You're taught to be a worker, but that's an ideology that again comes from needing a job versus understanding that you can build your own company.
Absolutely.
Because if you're going to work for someone at any time, it's to learn the craft, it's to understand the way the business works better, and then to take that knowledge. But you always within mind, I'm not retiring from this place. I'm here to learn so that I can then open and do my own thing. If you don't have that mindset, then it's going to be a tough time because you are on unemployment when you should be withdrawn from your own situation.
That's so true. Wow.
The second you need the government to keep you alive, you waiting on a stimulus check, your life is over.
You're right about it.
Like for that moment, they got you. Like that's a wake up call if nothing else. Like they got you. That they can get you like that you need they check. That's crazy.
Right.
The government got you like that.
Man.
Kind of crazy.
You realize that. You realize that when you get sick.
That's pimping on another level. Different types of. Is that an HR?
I like that. Pimping on another level. I like that.
Pimping on another level. That's true.
I love that. Tyler, go ahead. You had a point, Tyler, you want to make?
Yeah, I think especially with the education system in general has just been a very interesting experience for me. Both my grandparents were retired school teachers. My mother's a social worker, and my dad at one point used to substitute teach. And so education was held to a very high regard when I was coming up. And I spent a lot of time in the schoolhouse, not just actually learning, but extracurricular activities, having to stay after with my mom when she would have to work, after the bell rung for everyone to be dismissed, and just kind of seeing the backstage elements of school as well as the active onstage elements just kind of opened up my eyes. But I didn't realize just how divisive and cyclical and one-dimensional the American school system was until I left my area, which was Sharpsburg, Georgia, and then got to a HBCU. And then I learned what I had not learned yet. And I asked myself, I said to myself, this is some really potent information. There's no reason why the first time I hear about the Tulsa race riots, which is the very first domestic terrorist attack in America, I should not be hearing about that for the first time as an 18-year-old. I need to hear about that like as a kid so that I kind of know where certain things stem from. And also, not only that, and it's not necessarily to say that there needs to be it is to say there needs to be a stronger focus on Black history, because it has now been scientifically proven that to be taught about yourself is to be given a self-image. It is to find your place in the world. There's something about that sort of trains you up to know that there are people who look like you who had a place and had a purpose. And so to go years, there are kids who go, and I was one of them, who went 12 years of my life without that. And then to integrate into this program, which is an HBCU, that now opens up my perspective. I'm now looking at it like, well, where was this information then? And so the conversation comes up a lot about, you know, there are all these, and we talked a little bit about it before we came on about, you know, the stereotypes related to men. And in this case for Black men, why do Black men do this? Why do Black men do that? Why are these different stereotypes being activated in our demographic? It starts at the very bottom and works its way up.
Yes.
You can't expect every parent to have the knowledge that's sort of needed to give people a self-image. Some of that stuff has to be taught in the schoolhouse with your peers.
Yes.
And you have to kind of think of what is the mental dynamic that takes place there when, you know, you have a Black History Month. But okay, so if that's the month, what are we learning for the rest of the year? So what is sort of the backdoor training, that's sort of the roundabout training that's taking place there? What is the wordless transaction that takes place when you put one form of history on a pedestal and then you don't give that same energy to the other? So I mean, there's just so many different avenues to sort of look at it. But I know for me, when it comes to specifically education, I'm looking at it how it really starts in pre-K, and it's not just simply the information you're receiving, but from my experience, there's a deeply psychological, spiritual, and emotional process that people are going through in the educational system, and I don't think it's been addressed in a practical way just yet.
No. It has not. Wow, this is so good. Oh my God. We're going to go take a quick break, and then we're going to really dig into and bring this into what this series is going to be about. And we're going to bring this again for our viewing audiences that is tuning in tonight. This is this series that we're starting out. It's called Men Have Voices Too. This is going to be a very, very powerful series. Guys, thank you so much for what you're brought to the table. Even at this point, this is just powerful. Yes, we'll be right back after this break, and we're going to dig into it a little bit more. Hey, and welcome back, guys. Thank you for tuning in to Truth Behind the Truth. We're here tonight with our great and powerful guests, actor Keith Burke and actor Tyler Tate. I mean, guys, this we haven't even dug into what this show's about tonight, and it's getting to be very powerful. But we want to welcome our Facebook family, our YouTube family, and our Instagram family as well. Tonight's series that we're kicking off is called Men Have Voices Too. Boy, men, we got some voices. I'm telling you, boy.
And you know what? On top of that, no, hold on. Wait a minute.
Hang on, hold tight. One second.
Okay.
On top, we got some voices out here, brothers. I'm telling you, this is really, really, really good. And digging into that. I know you got a point. One of our viewers brought up a point about that. Go ahead and read that point. We'll dig in tonight a little bit further, guys.
Well, I want to say hey to those who are watching. Tawana, cousin Tawana. Hey, how you doing? Mm-hmm. My mom. But there is a point that was made while we were talking. My mom put this out. Thinking is a process that is based on knowledge of history in the present. Our children have been given games to take over their minds, to take over their voices, and drugs to give them a way out.
Wow.
So I mean, that's something to think about.
Absolutely.
It's too many distractions.
Too many distractions.
All
right. So digging into us having a voice, guys. In society, we have just been, I think, put in a box. Men overall have been put in a box, okay?
Yes.
And we're only let out for food and water, pretty much. In the process, throw him back in the box later, let him out for food and water, and we'll put him back in the box again, okay? But really realizing that, first of all, number one factor, regardless of whatever sexuality that you are, men are still the givers of life. Okay, life comes from the male. Okay, so therefore we should be having the voice of society. In and of itself. But it seems like that there have been so many things that are out there that has stifled our voice. Typically into the point that we have put ourselves or been forced to put ourselves in the things that we can't speak, in our homes or whatever, because it's either been that the male has been looked at, well, he's aggressive, he's not compassionate, he's not, and all these other things, or even in the fact that he really has no fortitude how to run the family anymore, because it's like, no ploy against women. Okay, this is not against women. Women have a very, very vital part of the backbone of society. However, at the end of the day, it's about the male voice. Yeah, as it goes on. And I'll open up from that particular point. What do you guys think about that at that point? Anybody can chime in. Doesn't matter. Keep going there.
As far as the male voice, I feel like when you think of males, I mean, we're just speaking about black males, and I just feel that, that started a long time ago, and it's a constant suppression of anything that mirrors any type of pride in oneself, any type of strength. You display any type of confidence. It's like, I mean, and the sad thing is that, how something starts and why it started a certain way between, if you think of even from enslavement, people feeling that people who were in the house had it better than the people in the field, and so then that breeds a certain level of animosity that we carry on through our bloodlines till this day,
right?
And we just create different reasons, but it's still the same energy, right? And so the key was to keep you separated in so many different ways. If you anytime which is why you constantly are shown shows are made available that show you the finer things in life. We have Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. We have, all these different things to show you how to keep you chasing this carrot. Because if you're chasing things, you're not really looking inward to find what your purpose is. Like a thing is a thing. Like a car that you was like new 6 years ago was beautiful every time they showed the commercial. Now it's just like, oh yeah, that's nice, a little dated, but that's just how you look at it. They even tell you that it's going to depreciate, right? 6 months after you drop it off the lot. So you've already lost money on your initial investment, and they're going to get you on the back end if you finance, right?
Yes.
Okay. So with that being said, you understand that that's just you taking an L, but you doing this because it makes you feel good and you feel like maybe you deserve it. But to take that same risk within yourself, like when I think about people go, oh man, you moved and 3,000 miles away where you didn't have one single family member and you just sought out your, to go after your acting career. And I thought, well, if you're going to bet on somebody, why not bet on yourself?
Absolutely.
If you're going to give something 20 years, why not give it to yourself versus giving it to somebody? I worked for them for 22 years, man. They just let me go. Because you didn't have any control even in your mind over the narrative. You were always, and again, this is if you've never thought about it in that way, you were just always allowing your fate to be determined by someone else. Because if you think about it, even with acting to a certain degree, if you're not thinking on some lines of creating your own content on some level, you are doing the same exact thing with even a lesser chance of actually achieving it. Because getting chosen or getting hired as an actor has so many factors, but it's like if you have more than one iron in the fire, if you're thinking about the story versus just your part. And that leads me to this last point, what I just said. If you're thinking about the story and not just your part, that's the plague Black people. Only thinking about your story, and it's an American way of thinking. Only thinking about your story and the part you're playing and not the whole story and how we can advance. Because when you look at what we spend, what comes out of our community, right, on retail, and we don't own anything, we own nothing. We be sitting there parading around a Rolls Royce, don't own one car company, luxury, for all the money, all the Escalades. Not one. All the and the biggest, most egregious crime is all the weed we done sold, and we can't buy one dispensary. We can't buy one dispensary.
That's true.
Because here's the problem. That was entrepreneurship. Once you decided, because of the opioid crisis, we're gonna have to find a new way. We got to find a new hustle. Oh, I got it. Let's make weed legal, and we'll use it for its true medicinal purposes, whether it be mental health or aches and pains. We'll get creams. Now it's all one-stop shopping because the man said it's all good now. Y'all ain't got to preach about it no more. It's all good now. That's the trick, man, and that's everything. We going to jail. The second weed became legal, them states should have let everybody out who had charge for weed.
Yes, that's true.
If you ain't had no other dope charges and you a weed dealer, go on, get on up out of here. You done did your crime. Why he's still in jail? Why she's still in jail for trafficking, right?
Yes.
So that's the thing. It's discouraged any type of outside entrepreneurship, any type of thought, because they rigged the game. So they lock us all up, then say you can't own a dispensary because you have a felony.
Right.
You can't vote because you have a felony. Right. So why do you think when everybody's sitting there talking about Bill Clinton, he signed mass incarceration into existence?
Yes.
Why is he considered a Black president? That's just that crazy plantation thinking.
Yes.
You feel me? He signed mass incarceration. And I was there when George W. Bush left office at the inauguration. They sang "Hit the Road Jack" to him too. But now he's all in love, he's all in love with Michelle Obama and all this. We're the most forgiving people, but we got the highest homicide rate in the hood.
Yes.
Yeah, we forgive everybody else.
Right. But nobody forgives us.
Yeah. But you can't even step on my shoes. Or I don't even like the fact that you doing better for yourself. Or who you think you are going to college. I'll take your life. But it's all good. He signed millions of lives away that affect future generations, and you had the audacity to put him on your timeline.
Yes.
What's wrong with y'all? You feel what I'm saying?
Yes,
That's
sir.
how deep-rooted it is.
Yes.
That's how deep-rooted it is.
Yes. Man. Boy. Harold or Tyler, go ahead real quick. Tyler? Tyler? Go ahead.
Well, the transition,
Yes.
on the topic of voices, no, it's okay. No, everything you said, I strongly agree with. On the topic of there being a lack of a male voice, I also think a more pointed argument would be that the voice is there, but the mainstream interest to listen to the voice or want to seek for the voice to be heard is not. The interest for that is not there. And I say that because I see examples everywhere that people don't really care about how men feel in general. Yeah. I think the most recent one I saw yesterday was a meme of Drake in the studio, and he had his head down and he was like in front of the microphone, and it said, "Wow, Drake's new album is about to be fire. He looks so sad. I'm excited." And I thought to myself, you're basically celebrating someone's depression. Now, Drake was probably fine. They probably just caught him at a bad time. He was probably okay. But the concept of celebrating someone else's depression so that you can get a few hours of good music, to me, is such a disturbing thing.
Yes.
But this is just one example of many. I watch the ways, in general, we just kind of expect men to bounce back from things or just not be affected at all. Right. And I would even argue that in some cases, when certain things happen to men, I think that in some ways we feel like we aren't affected, because that too is like a survival strategy that we've learned over time to sort of not allow things to affect us, or allow them to affect us subconsciously and not consciously. So right. I think there's so many moving parts, and part of it is people really don't care about male voices unless there's something on the back end that benefits the people who are listening.
Yes.
So, for example, Drake. And then there's the training that happens there that tells us that we should suck it up, take it like a man. We should not be, as we said before, showing emotions.
Right.
And it's the dynamic there is just so it's the dynamic in and of itself is so toxic.
Yes.
I think the part of it that's the hardest to deal with is that I think on a very basic level, a lot of us are dealing with things that are just so deeply rooted, and then we're being told to go out into the world and make money and live our lives and just be normal. And it kind of goes back to the story that you told before we were on the air, when you had that very deep conversation and you all realized that you were harboring these different emotions that were not necessarily in the forefront until after the conversation. Yes. I think to a certain degree, every single man in this country, and I would even argue in this world, just because of the ways that there are just certain patterns as far as masculinity is concerned, some of those things are across the board with all cultures.
Yes.
Every man is dealing with that to a certain extent. And I think there needs to be a little bit more initiative with allowing them an outlet to express some of those things.
Exactly.
And that's why I like conversations like this, so we can kind of pick these things apart and figure out how we can take steps forward.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Harold, go ahead.
And you know what is also true is that we have a common trauma that we don't discuss, that's not healed. And it affects us in such a way that when we try to voice ourselves, even amongst our own, in our own community, our dreams, our hopes, it's often attacked, put down. And so we stay silent because we don't really appreciate what we have to offer, to one another. And so if we don't feel validated in our own community, we're going to stay silent to the majority.
Gotcha. It's a sad thing, and everybody has brought out such a good point. So let's kind of like dissect this apart just a little bit. Let's go back to the barbershop conversation, okay? And what evolves in the barbershop conversation? Typically, we always see in the African American community, the barbershops are our way of making a boy into manhood, and the conversation he hears in the barbershop that formulates his way that he should look at things. So let's dissect a little bit about the barbershop conversation. I mean, growing up, Tyler, did you experience the barbershop conversations at all?
Very much so, because I get my gift of gab from my father, and so when he would take me to barbershops, that's what I would be listening to, his conversation among, of course, several others. And one thing that I sort of observed in retrospect, the older I got, was that the barbershop, specifically for Black men, is sort of this display of the pinnacle, the peak of masculinity. And it's where you sort of learn those different thought patterns and those ways of thinking that you should have going out into the world. And no one sits you down and says, you know, when you go into this barbershop, listen to what they have to say, because this is how you're supposed to live your life. No one ever says that. But when you go in, you when you hear the conversations and the way that the energy of the room, even though it's just, most of it is very much so humor and most of it is just very much so casual.
Yes.
The undertones of it is almost life or death, because they actually are talking about some serious stuff in there. They start talking about politics, relationships, family.
Yes.
And so as a child, when you're watching that and you're watching the way that they sort of co-sign and him and ha and high five and amen corner each other, you start to learn, well, I want that same praise and acceptance too. And I know that I sort of want my spot in this masculine, for lack of better words, organization or brotherhood. And I definitely think there's a very coming of age, so to speak, process for young boys that go to the barbershop. But I sometimes wonder how much of that is actually helpful, when if you really look at it, the conversations that take place in barbershops is really only a slice of the Black male experience, which is such a vast and dynamic and dimensional experience.
Yes.
So I wonder how can that conversation, if at all, expand so that the people who are coming in and listening to those conversations don't necessarily feel stifled to the confines of what's being discussed.
Yeah. Got you. Go ahead, Keith.
Well, I mean, I'm from Philly, so you know, barbershops is like a culture where I'm from, and you know, to your point, Tyler, you know, the thing is, you're right. Like, it's such a small slice of who we are, but it's like, and then also to the original thought. Yet when we're children, when we're kids coming up in that environment, it's our whole world. Like, we get into the situation with the barbershop and we want to fit in, we want to feel like a man. And so we're looking at these men trying to find where we might fit in. What, you know, who are we most like? Who are we most like? You know, who do we draw from, and learn and trial and error. And the most interesting thing about it is this, if you really think about it, that we have to find our manhood at the barbershop and not in our own homes. Speaks volumes. Because if you're searching for something, you don't know what it is, even when you see it, because you're in a barbershop, different men, different ideologies, arguing different points. So which one is right? And that's the thing. Whereas if you have a father, it doesn't mean that you're always going to agree with your father, but you have a foundation that said, you know, my father always kind of taught me this, that, and the third. And then through my journey, I found this. And so I tried to explain my son, blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of how my life went. You know, I had a father in the house. But I also understand that, you know, being, you know, I am, what did Martin Luther King, that whole civil rights movement, I am a man, that you have to put it on a sign, tells you everything that you need to know. That you have to march with it on a sign. You got hundreds of men walking down the street with signs that say, I am a man. You can't see that with them walking down the street. That means that they don't feel like being seen. So how long have they felt like that before they were grown men? That's a long time to feel that way each and every day that you wake up. Every night that you wake, you lay your head down. Every time you look your child in the eyes, not feeling like a man, what do you think that does to him? Because sometimes we don't know why our father, or, you know, our uncle or somebody always has a certain energy, because they don't even feel authentic telling you certain things, because they don't feel it for themselves, because they in their mind they might not be allowed. You know, because we're taught to believe that we have to be allowed. We need permission to do everything, right? You need a license to do this. We need permission to do that. You know, I can't do this without that. You know, and they got to tell me I got to. Well, you know how they are. You know, that's how we're in a constant state of what's going to come in the mail, what piece of paper, who's going to call me and tell me I got an issue, what email am I going to get that, what problem am I going to deal with. Like you said, there's so many different distractions. So when a child is coming up, no foundation, no father, not enough male role models in the neighborhood to even take on an extra kid in a way of mentorship.
Yes.
You start to just try and pull, and God forbid you look around and don't see anybody or feel like anybody looks like you feel.
Yes. Yes.
Then what are you supposed to do? You
Yes.
may not even be able to express how you couldn't articulate, hey, this is what I need, Mom. Because you don't know. Mom might be like, well, you got to figure that out. I mean, I can't teach you how to be a man. Well, shit, right? Excuse my expression.
No.
Now I'm in this mindset of just constant self-discovery. So then, well, I don't know. He's all over the place. You think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. He's trying to find out where he fits.
Yes.
He's all over the place. You know, and it's like, how can you label something that's really being treated as a lab experiment anyway? I mean, honestly, we're put in these homes, these foster care systems, you know, and then like we set up systems where people could, like I said before, could get benefits, but there could be a man in the home and there were these stipulations. And that was to decimate the family. So again, you know, when the family back has been broken, you're trying to rebuild a system where you have to think, how do we implement male role models? Because it's clear to me that there's not going to be some day when everybody wakes up and realizes, if I have a child with someone, I got to stay with them, not necessarily with them, but I got to father the child. Right? That's not going to happen. So if we got to figure out another way where we're able to make sure that there are mentorships, where there are places where people who can see somebody that looks like they feel or moves like they feel, and they can actually trust that they're going to be heard. The big issue is we have voices, but it's like people don't want to listen, because again, anytime you tell someone, it's like anything. You say, hey man, I want to lose 10 pounds. So I go, okay, well, what do you eat? Tell me what you eat. And I go, okay, well, here's your biggest issue in your diet. You might want to cut back this. Oh man, you're killing me. I'm killing you. Right. Do you understand? But this is our mindset. You come to me sick, but you don't want the medication. You rather take a pill for it than to crush up some herbs. You'd rather not learn about what's natural going into your body, and you can just go through a drive-through. It's convenient, right? So I'm saying it's a convenient way of thinking as well. It's lazy thinking. You have to be thirsty and hungry to understand yourself first before all this other stuff can be opened up to you. If you don't start with the foundation, the rest of it doesn't even matter.
Wow.
Melissa been commenting. She, in one of her comments, said it's hard because many times you are given an identity rather than having freedom to develop
an identity.
And on top of that, she also said men need freedom to be individuals. And I wholeheartedly agree, because I come from a small community on the Bible Belt. And, you know, it's hard to find your individuality when you have people in your ear who are telling you what a man should be. I went through all my adolescence playing baseball, because that's where we thought that's where, you know, you have to be playing a sport, baseball, football. Other than that, if you were in a band, you know, who cares about that? Who even cared about acting down south anyway, or being shoot, if you could sing, you could sing. But that doesn't even compare to being masculine. You have to be doing what other boys do, what you see your father have done. And that's the thing with me. I've been raised by a single mother for so long, and I'm not going to get too deep into it because this is deep. But the fact that we're talking about masculinity, I would go to the barbershop, hear things, but knowing in the back of my mind that I was different, knowing that what I saw everybody else do, that wasn't me. Something was wrong with me. Even though I did not even know at the time what made me authentic, but I knew something was different. And the fact that you have your uncles, you have, you know, you see your friends, you see people that you grew up with, and you see what they're doing, and you say, well, what is it? What is the idea is this who I'm supposed to live up to? Because I don't know I don't know who I am. So you go through life trying to find mentors. When I went to college, when I went to school, I was looking for a male mentor. Even in that process, I was looking for this quote unquote a father figure,
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure out what it was, who as a male person, as a man, who can I talk to about my deep secrets, about my issues, about my mental illness, and not placing the blame on whoever gave it to me, but just to talk to somebody to figure this out. And it took a lot of reading. It took a lot of meditation. And sometimes it takes music sometimes for me to get the understanding. But it just took me to get that time within me to understand that, darling, you are who you are. Now, you might not be your older brother. You might not be your cousin, but you are who you are. You might as well embrace it, love it, because nobody can do you the way you can,
do yourself.
What you bring to the table is a uniqueness that needs to be brought. But it's so sad, and I don't want to put this all in the African American community, because it's not only us, it's a lot of communities this way. Even my Latino brothers go through this too. But there's this thing that weakness is really, it's just, whatever you display of weakness, it's not a good look on the community as a whole, and that we all should walk in that straight and narrow path, that, and that's just one of the things I just wanted to bring up. It's just individuality is a must, though.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry. So and this is very good, guys. This is very, very good. This transparency, and I love this. One of the things that you touched on, Keith touched on, Tyler, you touched on, the one problem that, and I will say this typically, and I've been a part of the barbershop world and the whole nine yards, is that what interprets a role model for the individual? Is it this Neanderthal? Is this gladiator figure? Is this man running through the jungle with a spear? I'm just giving you kind of like the Hollywood version of all of this. All these other type of things. But where is it that males are not actually sitting down to a young boy and saying, "Look, I appreciate who you are as an individual.
Okay.
Go forward in life and embrace who you are as an individual." You know what? We force males to be in. Sports lovers, great, love it. If you play sports, wonderful. But if you don't play sports, it's okay. You see what I'm saying? For the makeup of this show right now, we have 5 actors that are on this show right now. 5 actors. Okay, at the end of the day. All right. And if we have not pulled some part of ourselves out to say that we're supposed to be or want to be this actor, we would have never done it, because the community of males don't support the idea of the art. I'm just using that as an example. It's looked at, it's a sissy if you want to be in theater, or it's a sissy if you want to dance. If it's and all these other, and all of these things are interjected into such the male being, rather than just saying, "Hey, if this is what you want to do, go for it."
Yes.
Embrace who you are and love who you are.
Yeah.
Where can we get as males to start to bring that back into our younger males, into these guys that don't want to pull up their pants, and giving them their self-worth, and not saying to them they have to be the rap artist, that nasty, stinky smelling, all those all those things that go on in society. Don't take care of yourself, and the good hygiene and all those other type of things. I know I'm throwing a lot out there, but it all factors into the same point. It all factors into the point of that knowing and not believing in who you are as an individual. I know I said like that. I know, Harold, you had a point you wanted to make real quick, and then keep you trying to go ahead, brother. Harold, go ahead.
Well, no, it all goes back to self-worth, and a lot of it has to do with early trauma. A couple of years ago, I had a chance to speak to 100 lifers at the California State Prison. Most of them were Black, and the stories that I heard from them was the fact that no one cared from them. No one told them that that they were enough. No one told them that they could be whoever they wanted to be, and they could and that the world was open for them. They didn't know that. And so no one ever spoke life to them. And so they felt worthless. Wow. So they were drawn to things like gangs, because the only place they found acceptance and love and saw people who looked like them, because most of them didn't have fathers in the household. And so it's no wonder why, they ended up there, because, they didn't feel like they had anything to offer. They didn't know their worth. They didn't know that they had value, because nobody ever spoke life in them.
Wow. Go ahead, Keith.
No, I was just gonna say, I ordered food and it's gonna for the dinner because we kind of stuck.
Okay.
And it'll be here because I knew we were done at 7, so it'll be here
Yes, sir.
in the next 5 minutes. But I don't want to cut anybody off. But I just want to say thank you so much for having me on. I mean, I've just really been. I can't say enough about how much respect I have for each and every one of you brothers. I really appreciate what you all bring to the table. To be so transparent with your thoughts and to share them with with myself, and for us to be able to have this space to even do that is definitely a blessing. So I just wish you all continued success. Congratulations and all that you're doing. I champion you from afar, from however far away. Just know you have another brother that's hoping and praying and looking for your success, and hope that you achieve all the things that you continue to strive for.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that, Keith. We're going to have you back on. We'll talk off camera, see what your schedule looks like to bring this out, because this is such a powerful point, and I know we are way over time. We're well into an hour show. Tyler, give us a wrap up, and we'll go ahead and wrap the show up, and then we'll pick this up at another on the continuation of another show. Tyler, did you have a point real quick?
Sure. I think a really good place to leave off will be the fact that a lot of the things that people use to define a sissy or anything that is supposed to define less masculine is interesting. Boys who are soft-spoken, boys who kind of sit back and watch and observe, boys who have a more so creative mind. But it's interesting because to me, when you talk about spirit, when you think about how we describe God, how God is described in the Bible, God doesn't always yell, God whispers, God gives hints. God created the earth. God is a very creative being. I mean, that's the way that we write about him. So why do we strip those qualities away from boys, and why do we demonize our young boys when they exhibit those same gentle and endearing qualities? I think there's also a process that takes place there that also needs to be addressed.
Gotcha.
Guys,
do you have another point, Keith?
No, I just wanted to say I agree with what he said 1,000%. It's critical. I mean, that's one of the first things that needs to be addressed, because to me, that's no more of an egregious crime on a child is to somehow create this image of them that they can't be proud of based on their natural way of being, instead of championing them to be the individual that they are and just love them for the simple fact that you've been blessed with them in your life on some level is just criminal. And it definitely permeates through our community like a deadly virus, and it always has. And I just know that the way that I deal with it is I have 4 sons, and I love them unconditionally. I'm just here to help them, and I'm just grateful that I can be a part of their journey. Sometimes it's rough, but what I would never do is ever make them feel that somehow they had to be anything like me, first and foremost. But if I displayed any good qualities that they feel they can draw from, then I'm thankful that I was able to do that. But as far as how we make our young boys feel, no matter what, let them see it through. Tell them to see the whole thing through. I'm just coming in on this part. You got a whole thing to do. I can't, I don't always have to agree with where you are, but I can still pray that you get to where you want to go.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So that's it.
Yes.
Absolutely. So well said.
Yes.
Guys, we're going to wrap it up tonight. I mean, this has just been powerful. I mean, open up this short series that we're doing on Men Have Voices too. I can't say thank you enough. I mean, guys, I mean, this is such so many layers that has to be pulled back, but we're going to do it.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to do it. We're here to help you find your authenticity, and find and let you know that you are enough. Okay. Yes. And we will find out, we'll dig more into this topic that we're going to have over the next couple of weeks, and really dig in and really help somebody, I can't even find the words because I'm so excited about what this has started, because this needs to happen. Yeah. It is such a beautiful, beautiful time. Harold, hey, brother, you're the bomb as always, in the process of that. I'll reach out to you, see if your schedule can make it back. Maybe toward the next couple of weeks, we can have you back on to get this as well. Tyler, hey man, it's been a true pleasure. meeting you tonight, and we're going to dig more into it in our next show about the toxicity that comes through the men, from the male side as well.
Awesome. That's cool.
Y'all have a powerful night. And oh man, I'm just lost for words, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not one that's lost for words. This is so rich to me.
And we want to thank those who have been watching. I know Melissa has been going off on the comments. She wants a part 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6. So it's
good night,
touching.
Melissa.
And my mom and Tawana and we got some more people coming in. So yes.
But anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning into Truth Behind the Truth tonight. We'll be back next week, same time, same place. Okay, continuing our conversation on men have voices too. Y'all have a powerful night. Thanks for tuning in. Bye, y'all. Keith.
Bye.
Well, Keith.
All right, brother. Wakanda forever.
Harold, wow.